Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Judith Patterson. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Texas, and today I'm going to show you how to make a fun card. It's always fun cards with the Kindest Gnomes stamp set. I've been using this stamp set all week, so if you want to see some more ideas, you can head on over to my blog and see those. Or wait till the end of the video and I'm going to show you just really quickly those cards that I've been making. Tomorrow there will be one more. And the card that I'm going to be making in this video, I've actually made two other versions of this card, so I'll show those at the end as well and let you know which products I use to change that up a little bit. Okay, let's start stamping. Alright, so I'm only using two stamps from this stamp set. I'm using the big mushroom, I love this thing, and I'm using this little girl gnome. It's so weird that I have favorite gnomes, but I do, and she is one of them. I really like this little guy. My youngest daughter thinks the lantern guy's fun. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is get a scrap of basic white cardstock and ink up the mushroom with Tuxedo Black Memento ink. I'm just stamping that in the center there a little bit. I didn't center it vertically because I can save the top of this and use that for another project later. While I've got my Tuxedo Black out, I'm going to go ahead and ink up the little girl gnome, and I'm going to stamp her as well. I love her braids. I think they are super fun, and I have been today just playing around with them, and I am coloring her braids different colors. So this card I'll be using the Highland Heather Stampin' Blends for her hair. I'm going to use the dark Highland Heather to start off with here, and I'm actually going to start with it on the mushroom. So let's do it first. So this card is for, in my mind, and you can change the sentiment up and make it be whatever you want, but I thought of this card because I have a sweet young friend who just got her and her fiance just got their first new house. They're getting married next month, and so I thought of this card because I wanted to send a card to her, and she loves gnomes. So whenever we see a fun gnome somewhere, we always get it for her. So of course I had to buy this stamp set right away. I love gnomes, but she loves them even more than I do. So, so that's how I thought of this card. And I'm just gonna go ahead and take that brush. Yeah, the brush is a little bit darker, so I'm gonna add some of that. Okay, I'm going to use the light balmy blue to color the windows real quick. And then I'm using light soft suede to color the door. I'll be covering that doorknob up with something else later, so I wasn't worried about coloring it precisely. Okay. And that's all I'm coloring on the mushroom. So for her, I'm going to take that same dark Highland Heather, and I'm going to start by coloring her braids. Now that we've got her colored, I'm going to put her to the side, and I'm going to stamp the sentiment, and this time I'm just using Congratulations, and this is from Charming Sentiments. I love this stamp set. It has so many good sentiments on it, and then you can also use the Sentiment Silhouettes dies that coordinate with it perfectly to cut these words out without having to fussy cut. You get the fussy cut look, but without fussy cutting. So the first thing I'm doing is using my embossing buddy here to get the static and any grease or anything off of that card. Then I'm gonna ink it up. So this is just a scrap of gorgeous grape that I'm stamping on. I like to make sure I have it good and sticky with Versamark. I'm going to use white embossing powder to heat emboss with. Okay, so that looks good. Let's get our dies out now and go ahead and start cutting all these things out. So I'm going to use the Gnomes dies to cut out the mushroom and the gnome. I'm also going to use it to make sort of a paintbrush, because the idea here is that they're painting their new house. The little gnome is. Okay, I'm going to use just a little bit of Post-it tape to hold this in place. so I have a scrap of smoky slate here. I'm going to use this long stem from the mushroom to cut that out. And then I have a scrap of basic white, and I'm using the mushroom top to cut that out. And that's going to become our paintbrush. Okay, so to make the paintbrush, I'm going to see if you can see this. So I've got my little mushroom here. I'm going to cut just below where all the little dots are on it. And with a slight angle. Then I think I'm going to go ahead and cut it. Just trim those corners up a little bit, make it not so pointy. Just going to round those just a smidgen more. Okay. And then I'm going to take a little dollop of glue. I'm going on the wide end, just little bitty dots. And I'm going to glue this paintbrush head to the handle. And then, okay, so you can see it looks like it's got like bristles for a brush. So then I'm going to take my gorgeous grape pad. And I'm just going to go about halfway down the bristles. Well, no, a little bit more. Just give it a little wiggle on the ink pad. There we go. So now I've got that nice purple paint on the end of my brush. So I used my finger to just gently kind of push it in there and then pull it back. Alright, so now we have our pieces to our card because I already cheated a little bit. I didn't want to bring my standard size stamp cut and emboss machine over here. So I went ahead before I started recording and used one of the split card texture dies. They look like this. So I used this one to cut a 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece of basic white cardstock. So I ended up with this. So I'm not going to put this down on my card base just yet. My card base is a gorgeous grape card base, and I have it opening towards the top. Alright, so I'm going to use Stampin' Dimensionals. Do you know what? I forgot to cut out the congratulations, so let me do that just real quick. Okay, so that's done. I'm going to go ahead and use these dimensionals on the back of the mushroom and get it put on the card. I want her to be holding the paintbrush. So I'm going to put just a dollop of glue here and here. A tiny little dollop, not a dollop, even a dab. I'm putting a dab of glue. So I want the brush to be at the top. There's good. I'm going to place some Stampin' Dimensionals, one on her hat, one behind her nose, one on her foot, and then just right over here by the paintbrush. And then on the brush head, I'm going to put a little bit of glue again. So I didn't put this down already because I wasn't sure if I wanted it to be on dimensionals or not, but I think not. I think I'm just going to glue it straight on the card base. Okay. So then the congratulations can go right here, and I think I will use dimensionals on that. I'm going to use mini dimensionals, and I think I'm probably going to end up cutting them in half. Yep, I'm going to cut a couple of mini dimensionals in half to raise that up some. Okay, and one final touch for this one. I'm going to add a brushed metallic adhesive backed dot for the doorknob. And I think I'm going to use this more copper color. Nope, I'm going to use the gold. Yeah, that looks good. Okay. So here is the first card, the one we just made. So I guess technically this would be my last card, using Balmy Blue and Highland Heather with a gorgeous grape card base. So then the first one that I made with this, I used the Painted Posies embossing folder. It looks like this. Here's the folder, so it's a nice 6x6 size. So I used it to cut out the shimmery white card base. Well, not cut it out. I cut it out, cut the card base, cut the layer, and then I embossed it with that. And then I used my water painter with Highland Heather, Melon Mambo, and Mint Macaron to color the flowers. She's colored with Melon Mambo and the Dark Pool Party Stampin' Blend. And then the other one I used, or I made with this, is Old Olive and Night of Navy. And then I used the Timber 3D embossing folder for the background on this one. I used white cardstock again, but I took my soft suede ink pad and I opened up my embossing folder and I opened up my ink pad and I just tapped ink all over one side, and then I very carefully placed my card on it, closed it up, and ran it through, and it came out like this. And then I recommend whenever you do that to go ahead and just immediately rinse your embossing folder just in the sink. All that ink comes off really quickly when you do it right away. And so then I just set it by the sink to dry and then finish up my card. And I did use another little doorknob on this one. In fact, I think I'm going to go ahead and I'll add the copper one. Yeah. I really get excited about these little doorknobs. Those are perfect. So this one, I think this one I used a sponge dauber. And this one I used... after I got the ink in it, I immediately took a blending brush and just kind of spread some of that ink out to make it look like there was more ink kind of going up into the brush bristles. And for the Welcome Home, so I used 2 different stamp sets for that because I don't have a Welcome Home stamp set or stamp. I need to fix that, but in the meantime, I used Welcome from Celebrating You. I just masked this part with a post-it, and then on this one I used Home and masked the rest of that with another post-it. I just tore it in half and covered up the parts I wanted to cover up and stamped those and embossed them. And then once that was done, I used my double oval punch to punch out this shape. It kind of reminds me of a guitar pick. So I punched one side of it, and then I used a Post-it note to kind of adjust it inside the punch and punch the other side. So very handy. And then if you would like to, I'll show you the rest of the cards that I have been featuring on my blog this week. So I started the week with a card from the catalog, of course, and there is another video if you'd like to watch it, showing you how to create this card. I love this background. I like changing up the designer series paper like this. Is pretty fun. Now, I said these are all on my blog. One of these is not on my blog, but the rest of them are. So one of these is a peek into something that you wouldn't normally see. Love these guys. Don't they look like they're fun? This one is one I did for a blog hop challenge. Very cute. We were challenged to use specific colors on this one. So if you'd like to learn more about those cards, you can head on over to my blog. All but one, and one of those is for something else. But I just thought I'd go ahead and share it with you real quick just now. Forgot to switch back over. Thank you so much for watching my video. I appreciate every one of you that takes the time out of your day to watch these videos. I hope that I am inspiring you to get creative with all of your paper crafts. If there's anything that you saw on this video that you think that you might like to add to your collection, and if you're in the United States, then you can use my links in the description below to go straight to my store and purchase those items. And if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. I love it whenever I get those. And have a great, great weekend. Happy stamping.